Hello my friends and welcome back to another Reaper video. In this video I'm going to be looking at editing, some versions of editing. So to do that I'll open up the browser and I will search for some sounds. So I'll search for a sword sound. So you can see I've made some databases here. So I want a whip, so I'll just drag and drop it in, and I want a hit. Yep, something like that. Something pretty kind of straightforward. Okay, so I'll close the browser now, and then I'll zoom in. I'll turn off snap, so I can line them up wherever I want. And so this would be very typical kind of editing. You just line them up, and then you'd hear the sound that you want to hear. So you're lining up the transients as they're kind of hitting at a kind of a similar time. So that's normal. Now you can do a couple of things, like you can split it S and you can move things around, and the typical kind of editing, cut, copy, paste. There is a few more edits that you can do if you hold down Option and go to the end. If you go to the end, it can loop out again and again. I have that turned off, but you can turn it on. I can't remember how the heck I've turned it on. Yeah, I can turn it back on and off, so I can loop at the end or not. One of the other things you can do at the end is if you hold down Option and go to the end, you can see you can stretch it out. Well, it'll kind of sound weird. Alright, so it kind of sounds weird. The more you stretch it out, the weirder it sounds. You can also make things, hold down Option or Alt, you can also make things a little bit smaller, shorter. And I don't know what that is on PC, but it'll be something similar. So that's one kind of some forms of editing. You can change. You hear when it started to sound a little bit weird, like I stretched it out and it kind of started to sound a bit weird. You can change that. So if I double click on any of the clips or regions, if I double click, we get the media property item editor, which could probably also be docked as well. Yeah, you could dock it as well if you wanted to. So maybe what I'll do is I'll dock it down the bottom. I'm enjoying that these days, having things docked down the bottom there. And you can see quite a few of the project settings there. And so what we'll do is we'll just look at some of them. So one of them, I think I actually prefer it like this. I'm more used to it like that. So one of them that we can do is right down here, you can change the nature of the time stretching. So I could change it to re-ra-ra-ra-ra. Go apply, and it should sound different, hopefully. Sounds different. Now I'm stretching it a lot. We'll try a different one. Rubber band. Yeah, you can hear that one sounds much different. Okay, so that's another form of editing. I'll just undo that for now. Command Z to undo. Command Shift Z to redo. So there's another thing that we could do. We can start to put envelopes onto it. So if you hit this trim button here, you can see that there is a wide range of envelopes that you can make active. You can see that it appears. And you can make visible or not visible and not active and so on, So there are some shortcuts for some of them. So one is V, so if I hit for volume, and one is P for pan. And what you can do is you can draw lines. And so what I could do is if I just turn this all down, the whole volume of that will be turned down. So we don't hear it anymore. If I turn it up, it'll all be up. We do hear it. And what I can do is I can hold down Command and draw a line. Or what I could do is I could hold down Shift and put in points and then drag. And so you can control some of the volume. Any of these things that you see here, you can control. And if I put an effect on here, so if I was to add, for example, a delay effect or something like that to that track, if I hit trim again, we can see all of the effects there on that delay that I added into it as well. So for example, I could edit the dry wet mix. So they're all available under trim. They're available under a couple of places, but that's one of the places that are available under trim. Okay. So I'm just going to go in and remove I'll remove the that. And you can turn off these, and you can also make them so as they're not visible. If you go into the view window, you can make them so as they're not visible. Okay, so that's another thing that you can do. You can automate parameters. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze, my friends. Yeah, I'm okay. So we can automate parameters. Now, there's another thing that we can do. If you double click on the clip, again, you get to the property media. You can add effects just to an individual clip. So let's say that I had 2 clips. I have 2 of these. Well, I'll do it with the sword this time. Okay, so I have 2 sword sounds. Okay, what I could do is double click, take effects. Will look for an effect. Let's look for something that we'll definitely hear. I'll look for something like this, the TLZEQ. Yep. I'll create a point, and what I'll do is I'll just remove a lot of low frequency, so as we'll just definitely hear it. So you can see there's a little FX icon on here and none on this one. So you can hear that I've applied the EQ to this one, you know. So if I do it again, double click, take effects, this time maybe what I'll do is I'll add in some distortion or something like that, something that we'll hear really obviously. So I'll add some distortion to both channels. Let's turn it up. So you can hear that with the double clicking the media property take effects, you can have effects on an individual item, and then you can also put effects on the track overall. So this will distort both of them, but there's an extra distortion on this one, you see? Okay. All right, so that's one thing that we could do. So I'll just undo that. That's in Take FX. So I'll just keep Command Zing it until the little FX icon goes, and we're back to the start. Okay, so that was double clicking. Take FX, and you can also change the time stretch parameters. You can also do some things like you can change the volume, and you can change the pan, and you can also change the pitch of the item. So I'm going to show you a different way to do that, but you can change the pitch of the item. So I could go, for example, minus 12, and then it will be 12 dB, 12 an octave lower. Undo, and you can see that it was the same length. But if I undo this button and go minus 12, oh, that's the wrong button, I guess. Minus 12. Pitch adjust in semitones. Playback rate. Okay, the playback rate. Let's go 0.5, and I won't preserve the rate. Apply. Now we can see that. A different way of doing it. Okay, so you can mess around with those buttons and see how you get on. Okay, so there's another little area that we want to do in here. It's called Take Envelopes, wherever that is. Here it is, Take Envelopes. And what you'll do in there is you'll see that you can have, so we saw the trim envelopes, and they'll apply to the channel, to the track. So you can have volume for the entire track, for example. But if you go into the media property items, you can have special envelopes that are just for the take. And so you can see the volume envelope appeared, pan envelope, mute envelope, and a pitch envelope. I don't bother with the mute envelope, but I do like the pitch envelope. And so I turn that on. And then you have envelopes in here. You could do the same thing. You can kind of command and draw them, or shift and create points. And you could do various things. Okay, so they're pitch envelopes that you can add, take envelopes, and I do them quite a lot. So I have a special button that I've added here, which lets me see all 4 envelopes at the same time, and then I have a little extra button here that lets me see them. And what I can do is I can go in and make some adjustments and fine tune it. and kind of get it to sound cool. Like I could start it at a higher pitch, put a point in here, and then make it go down. So I'll start from a high pitch and go a low, for example. Okay, so that's take envelopes. If you double click on the item, you'll see them. So we've looked at a wide range of editing now. Did I remove my whoosh sound? It looks like I did, so I'll just get it back again. So we'll go here and we'll go sword. I think it was just right in there. First one was a whoosh. Whip. Yeah, that'll do. So I'm going to show you an extra thing that we've added on. So you can do that. You can create versions of the tracks that, versions and create multiple edits. So as you can, you're not using the same gunshot or the same sword sound or the same special effect again and again and again and again. But I'm going to show you a slightly better way to do it. So I have these things. They're called XKV. Is it XCKLKV? LVK? I don't know what the heck they're called. But they're up here. LKC. It's called LKC, and it's an action. And they're extra add-ons that you can get from a company called LKC. So let me see if I can find you them. LKC Reaper. Let's see. Okay. And these are free Reaper scripts. Now, you need to install them in a certain way. All right. So you get a lot of them. They're worth getting. And I have embedded them then up here as scripts for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a wide number of these. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say like that number, okay? And one more for good measure. And then what I'll do is I'll select them. We've got this option up here, okay? So one of them, if we look down here, it's just called the LKV variator or something like this. Variator, the GUI, all right? So if you open it up, so I have a button here that'll just open up that button, that one there. Oh, that's the render button. This one here, it'll open it up, all right? And what it lets you do is all of the items that I've selected here, I can modulate, change, alter, affect all of these parameters. Okay, so I could randomize the volume, the pan, the pitch, the tape stretch, the rate, the reposition. I've turned off some, turned on other ones. Okay, so I'll adjust the length, the fades as well, I think, a little bit. And this is the amount that you're adjusting it by. And then you can save your adjustments, and you can mutate or Chernobyl, which is hardcore. So I'll mutate, and you can see that it created changes. So let's have a listen. So that's what I wanted to show you, is that you can do it that quickly. You could take off some if you didn't want. So, I could turn off the position there. Maybe the length, and maybe I don't want to change the length, but maybe I wanted more variation on the volume and the pan, and more variation on the pitch. And let's mutate. Now, the next thing that you could do is you can pack them all together in a different way. There's different ways that you can pack them. So if I create another track here above it, and if I pack these, this is another LKC thing, I'll pack them, and then I can render them. So I'm not going to go do too much of this right now, because the packing render, I didn't get it right there. I need to name them first. So, but I just wanted to show you the editing that can be done in Reaper, and I wanted to show you basically building it up from just getting in a clip and then making it longer and shorter, and editing it and cutting, copy and pasting. There's another option in here that I didn't show you, but you can reverse sounds in here as well. We saw the media item property. You can see some of the stretching, reversing, the take envelopes, the time stretching, time pitching. There's one last thing I will show you. Actually, I have embedded some, so I'll just look for a sword again, since that's what we're using. Okay, and I'll just drag it in. I have embedded two keyboard shortcuts on my mouse, so you can do an awful lot with Reaper, and one of them is if I hold down Shift and Control. Can you see that? It's changing the rate. It's changing the rate. Sorry. So it's changing the length and the pitch. All right. And if I hold down Shift, Control, and Option, it's changing the pay. It's changing the. It's I can use the mouse wheel to change the volume, and I can also use the control wheel, drag up and drag down, to change the pitch without changing the volume. So I have a wide range of editing. So there's mouse modifiers, there's just the normal edits that you can do, turning it off, there's grabbing and time stretching and different time stretching algorithms, there's automation with the trim envelopes, there's the item properties with take envelopes and various other types of things that you can do in there. And then when you really get professional about it, there's things like the LKC tools, which you probably need the RIA pack to use. So you can install that with the RIA pack manager, which is something that I would highly recommend if you're getting, to enjoy Reaper. Okay, that's it for this video, my friends. I hope it was of some use to you to learn a little bit about editing for games in Reaper. Thanks, guys. Bye now.